Right, everyone. So one of the big moments on Friday Night SmackDown was Solo coming out and then just leaving after the fans were booing him. Comes out, he gets booed, he starts leaving, and then Jacob Fatu does his promo. But according to WrestleVotes, this was a hotly debated topic, right? Or this segment was hotly debated previous to the show. So this is from WrestleVotes. That solo Sikoa segment was a hot topic of debate within creative today. The original rundown this morning had Solo opening the show to address his loss to Roman. So the question is, what would have been better? No one, this report doesn't say what he was going to say. Nobody really knows what direction this whole bloodline storyline is actually going in. There are so many unanswered questions that remain, but the one thing that we know for sure is that this was a debated topic. And I do think it was a powerful segment because I think it did a lot of foreshadowing for what Jacob Fatu may do in the future. We have to see how that plays out, but that could be a huge moment, right? This is one of those moments we can look back on and say there was a lot of foreshadowing here for what was going to happen in the future. Because the Bloodline storyline, just a few months ago, it felt so clear where WWE was heading with it. Now it's very unclear. I don't think anybody really knows where WWE is necessarily heading. So with this Bloodline storyline, because everyone thought it was going to be Rock and Roman, that appears to not be happening. Roman has successfully beaten Solo already. He did that at the Raw Netflix premiere. So if that's the case, then that it's kind of over, you think, right? It seems like it. So there's a lot of questions, and we don't have a ton of answers at this time, but we will see what happens. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.
If you're shooting him fairly tight, now Jacob just walked into that shot, and now you just, where he's just burning a hole in that camera, and then you can switch it.
At a combined weight of 411 pounds, the team of Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu.
So Triple H tweeted out this video you just saw, and he said, every WWE entrance is an opportunity to show the world who you are. In Jacob Fatu's case, it's a destroyer. So I think, this tells you everything about the product that WWE puts on and why it's so awesome to watch. Because something like this, what we see, you would never in a million years think that, oh, yeah, Triple H is out there doing this with the wrestlers. He's out there really directing them, and every little detail is so directed to make it so that the viewer at home gets the best experience. And I gotta say, I just thought it was awesome, and it explains everything. There's a reason WWE has the best presentation in the business. It's because every little part of those entrances is telling that story. And so when you see this really good shot on, and you see this really good shot on TV, you go, oh, wow, that was awesome, and now watching this, you understand why. It's because Triple H and all of the guys there, right? And then all the wrestlers themselves as well. They're all thinking about every aspect of their character to make sure that people are buying into it. And I got to say, I thought this was a pretty awesome video. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So we have an update on how long Triple H wants Raw to be every week. So according to Cultaholic Wrestling, citing the Wrestling Observer newsletter, they said this: Triple H is reporting looking at 2.5 hours as the sweet spot run time for Raw every week. So he wants it to be around 2.5 hours. And I think, this is a good spot. Now, obviously, you're probably going to have some that are a little bit over, a little bit under, but I think this is a good sweet spot because I do think sometimes these shows, I think with SmackDown, with Raw, when they're 3 hours, it just feels like there's sometimes filler in there that doesn't need to be in there. And I think it really overall takes away from the show when it's too long. I have no problem with watching 3-4 hours of wrestling when everything in there is stuff that's really good, or at least has a chance to be really good. But I think sometimes when you watch, these weekly shows, you see, oh, yeah, this was in there because I had to get to 3 hours. And with the flexibility Netflix gives you, 2.5 hours, that feels like a good sweet spot. If you need to, you go over just a slight bit. But if there's nothing that you need to have in there extra, you can go under a little bit too. And so I'm happy that Triple H is, kind of recognizing this because sometimes, the short and sweet, right? Just give us everything that we want in there, and you can still have those opportunities for the younger superstars or the up and coming superstars to give their chances and and show what they could do. But I feel like sometimes there's just too much of it, and then that really drags everything else down because now you're sitting there knowing that every time you turn on Raw, oh, maybe there's going to be a few matches or a few segments that I don't really care about, and that kind of it just drags the show down. So I'm happy that this is what Triple H thinks. But put in the comment section below, what do you think? Am I right on this? Am I wrong on this? Put that in the comments section below. All right, everyone. So at the Raw Netflix debut episode, we saw a video of The Rock and Drew McIntyre talking. So he talked about this in an interview with the Daily Mail. Drew McIntyre did. Here's what he said. He has always looked out for me since the very beginning of my career. He's always had such positive words. I just told a story about meeting his ex-wife, Dani, on a plane one time, and she told me herself and The Rock were big fans of mine and saw big things in the future, which was so cool to hear back then. Then fast forward so many years later, in 2017, I believe it was when TMZ had asked him who he thought was going to be the next big player, and it wasn't like I was about to win the Rumble. I was still kind of random, a bad guy in the show, and he was able to pick me out and go, Drew McIntyre, he's the one to keep an eye on. He's always had such positive public comments. When I re-signed, I sent the sword as a little gift. He has always been there for advice and to include me in his live stream after the match. I wasn't exactly expecting it, but I feel very honored that he's willing to shine a kind of light on me. And he swore first, then I saw an opportunity. It's so hard not to swear big being Scottish. So I got a little laugh and I got to ask a little favor, and he's working on that for me. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. What favor did Drew McIntyre ask of The Rock? And there's so many things going on right now in WWE. No one really knows what's the next direction of the Bloodline storyline. Everybody's pretty confused about what's going on with The Rock. What are his storylines going to look like in the future? So there's a lot of things that we just don't know, and this just adds another wrinkle, just another little wrinkle into the storyline, because I'm still waiting, and I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm still waiting for The Rock to come back and to be challenging Roman Reigns. To this point, we haven't got it yet. We had a kind of a moment of peace, right, on the Raw Netflix debut, but there might be something bigger coming down the line, and it's going to be interesting to see what favor that is. So, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So, JBL, he said he would be willing to get back inside the ring to have a match with John Cena. So this is from Something to Wrestle via Wrestle Talk. Of course, yeah, because I think the world of John. I was so happy that I was part of John's formative career. I don't take any credit for anything John did. John would be exactly where he is now, with or without me. I'm just glad that I was one of the ones that was there at the start. But John's such a great guy. I mean, everything about him. I mean, the more you know about John, from his Make-A-Wish, what he does, to how he interacts with fans, to how he interacts with talent, what he's done for talent. I mean, it's just amazing. It's not going to happen, by the way. There's no, absolutely zero talk of it. So JBL, if you're a younger listener, JBL and John Cena had some feud. They had a crazy, crazy feud back in the day. And if you didn't watch it, I remember I hated JBL. I hated JBL. I absolutely hated him. And it was just it was one of my favorite rivalries. I don't want to say, I mean, it's tough to, I mean, look, is it one of my favorite rivalries ever? As I'm sitting here right now, I think yes. I'm not gonna like defend that to be like it's one of the greatest of all time. I don't know. But it was awesome in the moment watching it. And I would love to see this too. I'm all for these older guys coming back in, getting in the ring and wrestling, because I think it just adds to the product. It gives you a little bit of shock value every once in a while. And I don't think that they'll probably do this, right? If JBO is saying that they're not going to do it, then maybe it won't happen. But if there could be some way that he could be involved in a storyline or something like that, I think that would be pretty darn cool. Um, like I said, anybody who remembers that early rivalry between the two, it was just a badass rivalry. And JBL, he was one of my least favorite wrestlers in the whole business. And I'm not saying that like I didn't like him as a wrestler. I'm saying I hated him because he was a heel and he was doing exactly what you're supposed to do as a heel. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, everyone. So we are getting closer to finding out what happened to Jade Cargill. So during SmackDown, we saw Naomi and Bianca Belair before their match, and Bianca asked Naomi, "Have you heard anything else about what happened to Jade Cargill?" Naomi says, "Nothing new." And just basically says, "There's nothing new on this. Nobody knows what's going on." Well, Jade Cargill sent out a tweet that said, "You sure?" with a question mark. So this is now being claimed to be directed right at that. Okay, so this is the article from Wrestle Talk. It says Jade Cargill reacts to Naomi having no leads in WWE Tech investigation. So I didn't see the exact time when that part of Raw was on. I didn't see this tweet in real time to know if this was sent directly after, but all the reports are seemingly laying out that that's what happened. And this goes with a theory, right? One of the theories is that it was Naomi that was the one who attacked Jade. Now, the question is there's two things I think that two ways that this can go. One way is Jade could have not actually known who attacked her, right? Maybe she was beat up so quickly that she never actually found out who was her attacker. And if that's the case, maybe she thinks it's Naomi, even though it's really not. I could see that being something that happens when she returns, start a little bit of a feud, and then it's revealed that it's not her. Or the second part of this is that Jade knows exactly who attacked her. And due to that, she knows it was Naomi and it is Naomi that did it. And then we get a feud based off that. So I'm not sure which one we're going to exactly get. But I think the fact that we have a "You Sure" tweet from Jade Cargill at least can hint to us that we're going to have that Naomi versus Jade Cargill feud at some point. Now, the question here is going to be, which side of this does Bianca fall on? Because if it's the first one where Naomi's saying it wasn't her and Jade thinks it is without any actual evidence, could Bianca be upset with Jade? And then that launches something bigger. So there are so many things. I can't wait. I need to see this rivalry. I need Jade Cargill to return, and I need to find out what the hell is going on with this because I have a feeling WWE has some big, big things in store. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.